Well, today, White House advisor Kellyanne Conway would not give a timetable for when the president would offer a plan on gun legislation and proceeded to grossly mischaracterize the gun legislation passed by the House early this year. Let's watch Kellyanne.
Leader McConnell has said something super smart that the Democrats in the Congress seem to not understand, which is, let's put something on the floor the president will sign. Let's do something that can actually become the law. When the Democrats say, well, just go ahead and pass what we passed in the winter or the spring, that's not reality, because their bills are gun confiscation.
That wasn't true, Congressman.
That's correct.
Your bill's not a confiscation bill.
It is not. In fact, the House passed on a bipartisan basis universal background checks legislation that has 97% support among the American people. It is before the U.S. Senate. All Mitch McConnell has to do is put up for a vote, and it will get to your president's desk.
Why do you think, as a political figure, the president of the United States won't support something that has 97% support? Background checks.
I believe he is being a chicken and being beholden to the NRA. There's no reason to not have this bill become law. It's been shown to be effective in preventing felons and other people who committed violent crimes from getting these guns. And we know that in the last mass shooting, it would have prevented that person from getting a gun.
They're now saying on the right, the evangelical right, that, I'm going to get to this later in the show, that owning a gun and not having to have a background check, in other words, gun safety runs against God's will. They're saying they have a sacred right, which is total, to own guns, whatever gun they want, assault rifles, whatever magazine size. They say that's a sacred right that God, Jesus, I guess, in most cases, gave them. I don't want to be sacrilegious, but they're saying this.
So I'm just a simple Catholic. I've read the Bible. It turns out the word gun is actually not in the Bible. They're just making that up. And what we have here is a president that has been completely ineffective in getting any legislation through Congress that helps the American people. He's blaming people like Beto O'Rourke for his inability to get gun legislation passed. All he has to do is say, I will sign that legislation, and it becomes law.
I'm with you. A new report from the House Joint Economic Committee describes the growing epidemic of gun violence in America. According to this report, in 2017, for the first time, more people were killed by guns in this country than by car accidents. Nearly 400,000 people were killed by guns. Approximately 2,500 of them were kids in school. The report also found that compared to other high-income countries, our country's firearm-related fatality rate is nearly 50 times higher for teens and young adults. Nicole, back to you. And my guess the question is, what do you want to say to the President of the United States if he's watching?
President Trump, you're a father. Please take action. Our kids need to be kept safe. This is what the Americans across the country want. Allow the vote to happen and then allow it to pass and move into law.
You know, your leadership is not always brilliant, not always, but they're brilliant on this, because they put to the president this week, Chuck Schumer in the Senate and Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, said to the president, if you sign background check legislation, not all this other stuff, it's just background legislation, we'll be there for the signing to celebrate that event. And Trump has been mumbling ever since. I think you guys have finally caught this guy so off base. I don't think Trump knows what to do.
That's correct. And let me just thank Nicole for her amazing leadership with Sandy Hook Promise. If the president is watching, I urge him to watch this compelling ad that Sandy Hook Promise put out. And the statistics are sobering. We know from the Centers for Disease Control that over 39,000 people die annually from gun violence. That's over 4 people per hour. So by the time your show is over, Chris, another 4 people would have died of gun violence in America. We need to pass this legislation now.